This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Well, welcome everyone. It's good to see you. It's good to see our video audience. I neglected to charge my phone, so we are only using one camera today. So don't anybody trip Bill up in the back because we need his copy. Yeah, Steve, you got an announcement?
I am on. Cool. Move the chair. I can't believe all the people that are here today, and they look so hungry. I can't figure that out.
Yeah, well, you're going to do something about that?
First service, they almost ate us out of all the food we had. We had to send out 2 additional runs for more food so we could finish feeding that group. And now I'm pretty excited to see what I'm seeing here right now. So anyway, I'm here. My name's Steve Mussman. I'm here to invite you to our fundraiser breakfast to replace our kitchen window. The meal is just amazing. We have Paula Scott Stewart here with her ingredients to make her famous pancakes that literally melt in your mouth. Hash browns that are so golden and brown you can hardly handle it. Fluffy scrambled eggs, sausages. Oh my gosh, it is just great. So I wanted to invite you all there. There's no charge for any of this. We ask if your heart is so inclined to give us a donation. And on top of that, come and just enjoy the meal and have some fellowship with people that you know, with family or friends, or meet somebody new. So I hope to see you all there. We're in the gym. And also, I made the coffee today. It's amazing. I know I'm too much on myself, but a lot of people have said it's really good. Even if you don't stay for breakfast, come through and get some coffee. Just enjoy that. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you all there.
All right, thank you, Chef Steve. And there's an announcement in the bulletins about the pastor's Bible study. This last group decided they wanted to have one based on their questions. And so what we're going to do is a 4 to 6 week session just based on the questions that you all ask. So there's instructions in the bulletin on how to get those questions to me, and as soon as we get the questions in, get it on the calendar, we'll let you know. That's coming along. So as Shelley has said, today is Palm Sunday, and I don't like to do a lot of stuff with those themes from year to year. I do Easter and Christmas, but Palm Sunday I really didn't know anything about until I went to college. But Palm Sunday is about a parade, and maybe 2 years ago, we were in Salt Lake City visiting our son, and I'm driving down one of the main thoroughfares of Salt Lake City. It's a 4-lane road, just going kind of on the south side of Salt Lake City. And all of a sudden, I'm surrounded by pickups, old pickups with oversized tires and flags, mostly Confederate flags coming out of the box. And it's actually kind of scary. They were honking their horns and yelling things and calling people rhinos and whatnot. And I didn't know what a rhino was. I had to go look that up. They had some obscene messages on the flags and just a lot of noise making political statements. They did that for several blocks, and I was caught in the middle of that. So just picture this, folks. You get these oversized tire pickups with, certainly armed people driving them, and I'm cruising down the road in my Toyota minivan, and I was somewhat concerned, felt a little nervous. But the Romans were famous for doing that sort of thing in Jesus' day. They did lots of parades to show off their military might. They came with their war horses and their shields. It'd be like today, they would be driving Humvees or something, Hummers or something like that, because they like to show off the power of Rome. And they certainly did that in Jerusalem where Jesus was, because Jerusalem was an occupied territory at the time by the Romans. So in the context of all these parades, Jesus shows up, not on a war horse, not on an elephant, but on a donkey. And he rides this donkey into Jerusalem. And it was a young donkey. It says it was a colt, it was a foal, young one, which is part of the miracle of it, because nobody rides an unbroken donkey, but Jesus did. And he made a big statement by doing so. The Romans wanted to show off their military might. Jesus came to show them that he wasn't all that fond of bullies with big militaries. And he wasn't all that fond of the world's way of doing things. One of the reasons he came was to save us from the need to impress people with our power. And I think that's the cool thing about Palm Sunday. So I was thinking about that this week, and I was thinking about just, my job, because I really have this privilege of being a Bible teacher, and I get to pray with people all the time. And yesterday I got to pray with a 23-year-old woman who had a seizure at work. Ashley Voss is her name. Her dad's a deacon here. And she's in the hospital. They're trying to figure out what caused the seizure, so we need to pray for her. But the thing is, it's a privilege to do that. And I'm thanking all of you for letting me have that privilege. So let's pray together now, shall we? Lord, it is truly a privilege that we get to come before you, that we can celebrate this time of year, this pivotal time in the history of Christianity, that we can celebrate your resurrection, the fact that you came and died for us, and we marvel at that. You came and offered your life as a sacrifice for those who betray you. And it blows our minds. We can't understand a love that's that deep. It's very likely that no one else would ever do that. But you did. And you did it to set the human race free. And we're thankful for it. We all deserve that cross, not you. But you did it for us. So, once again, we thank you for all that you've done. And today we want to lift up, too, those folks who are suffering through various things. We think of Ashley in the hospital. We think of others who are going through all kinds of things. We've got folks in rehab. We got folks in marriage therapy. We've got folks doing all kinds of all kinds of things to try to make life better. You blessed us in ways that we can't possibly imagine, and we're thankful for it. In the next few moments of silence, we lift up before you 2 or 3 people who need a special blessing today. And we give you thanks for that. And now my prayer is that your love will shine through the rest of this service, that each one of us as we leave here today will know that you love us and that you're with us in all these things. Amen. So today we are talking about the benefit of the doubt, and I wanted to start this off by just telling you a little story about a certain West Michigan retailer, Meijer. And, I doubt if there's anyone in this building who has never been in a Meijer store. But, once you get out of West Michigan, Meijer doesn't exist. And it's kind of interesting for those of you who are watching on video. I was thinking now, how am I going to describe Meijer to somebody who's never been east of the Mississippi River? And we have some of those who are watching us, and we're always glad to have you along. But how do you describe Meijer? And I said, well, it's kind of like a super Walmart, only it has higher prices. I think that's fairly accurate for that. But, the head of the security for the Meijer in North Muskegon used to be a member of this church until he moved to Atlanta. And I did his wedding, a number of things, and still good friends with him. And I would talk to him occasionally about what happens at Meijer, and You know, I've known 2 people at least who've been banned from Meijer for life because of shoplifting. They didn't get charges pressed against them, but they can never shop in any Meijer again. If they go in there, they'll be charged with trespassing. And when they talked to me about it, I said, well, you're just lucky you're not in jail. You know, I think Meijer was being generous with you there. But then again, I have to remember that one time when I was shopping there, I had an hour and a half between appointments here, and I had a honey-do list of things I had to go pick up. So I went over there, and I was kind of taking my time. The list wasn't that long. I ran into several people from Laketon Bethel. I chatted with them, and I wasn't really paying much attention to the time. I got my cart about half full, and I was headed to the checkout, and I stopped to talk to the greeter, who was somebody I knew from weddings and whatnot. And I was just, horsing around with him a little bit and having some fun and good discussion. And then he got called away, and I looked at my watch, and I thought, oh no, I got to be at Laketon Bethel in 5 minutes. I got to get going. And so I just took my cart and walked out the door. And I got to my car, I opened up the trunk, and I looked at the cart, and I thought, now why didn't they bag this stuff? And I thought, uh-oh. And I looked around, and there's no cops coming after me, so that was a good sign. And so I did what any logical person would do. I just rolled the cart back into the store and went through the checkout. And the interesting thing is that whole thing was on video. But they never did anything, and I called this security guy this week and had a conversation with him about that. He said, well, the store has to prove intent to steal in order to bust you for shoplifting, and I obviously didn't intend to steal. Well, I was talking with him about that. I said, I'm going to do a sermon on forgiveness this week. And I got to thinking, well, what if Meijer forgave all shoplifters? What if they just said, no, it's okay, we'll let it go? Well, people would steal a lot more. They'd say, oh, look, free stuff. And they'd go in there. We were joking about that. The only thing that would be left in Meijer if they didn't prosecute shoplifting would be stuff like broccoli or liver or Greek yogurt. That stuff that, when I was in the 70s, I occasionally visited a kind of a hippie commune, and they didn't wash their feet much, and the inside of that house smelled like the smell when Greek yogurt. So they'd leave that in the store, I'm sure. Now, and what would happen is that honest people would have to pay higher prices. Now, given that, is Meijer wrong to prosecute shoplifters and ban certain people from shopping in their store? Because Jesus commanded us to not judge. Jesus commands us to forgive unconditionally. So should Meijer just forgive unconditionally people that try to rip them off? Should all of us? And every serious follower of Jesus has thought about this. We're told to forgive, but what about those who would rip us off? Do we have to give them the benefit of the doubt too? What about that? What about an ex-spouse who's treated you horribly? You going to let that go? Or what about the person who tries to hurt your kids? I was thinking about that. I was carrying my granddaughter, just took her around the block a while back and stopped and visited with a few folks, and my daughter was getting concerned because I didn't come back quick enough. And I explained to her, if somebody's going to hurt this little girl, they're going to have to hurt me first. And I will not show mercy. And she goes, yeah, I guess that's right. I said, yeah, I will die for this little girl. So somebody's going to have to really have a problem with that to get through it. But if somebody tries to hurt that little girl, they are going to have to deal with me, and I will not be forgiving. And I'm sure there's other grandfathers here who feel the same way. That's just how it is. Now, next Sunday is Easter. of course, as we've been talking about, where we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. He died and rose again that we could be forgiven. And then he commands us to forgive. So what about that? Well, that's what I want us to take a look at today. I've kind of been working my way through Ephesians chapter 4, and today's the conclusion of that. But this is what Paul says about this whole business. He says, get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Instead, be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. So, summary, you've been forgiven. So then forgive. Paul here asks us to get rid of all negative attitudes and actions. He says get rid of bitterness, rage, and anger, because those are the root emotions that cause this bad behavior. They produce the harsh words and the slander and all types of nasty behavior. Paul says instead, be kind, tender-hearted, forgiving, just as God through Christ forgave you. Forgive always. Now, are there exceptions to this? And what does that forgiveness actually mean? That's what we need to look at today. Jesus expressed it in many different ways. This is one of my favorite ways that he expressed it from Matthew chapter 7. He says, do not judge others, and you will not be judged, for you will be treated as you treat others. The standard you use in judging is the standard by which you will be judged. And why worry about a speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? How can you think of saying to your friend, let me help you get rid of that speck in your eye, when you can't see past the log in your own eye? Hypocrite. First get rid of the log in your own eye. Then you will see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. So, according to Jesus, picking at people is bad. Don't do that. But the reason is because you're just as messed up as they are. And there's no question about that. I'm just as messed up as anybody else. And we need to understand what Jesus was teaching here. We're not morally superior to anyone. We got a log in our eyes. He says, oh, go ahead, take the log out, but that's not likely to happen. Perfect moral vision will never be ours. So, essentially, don't worry about the other guy's flaws. And that's pretty good advice. Just let it go. Don't worry about it. Now, sometimes that takes a while. There's some people I have to forgive on a daily basis, because when I think of them, I kind of grit my teeth and think of nasty things I'd do to them. So I have to forgive them every day. See, forgiveness in its pure form is putting away the desire to get even, the desire for vengeance. And that's what Jesus talks about here too, and that's what he means by it. Forgiveness and reconciliation are two different things. But in the meantime, there's some good advice from Proverbs. It's this one here. It says, even fools are thought wise when they keep silent. With their mouths shut, they seem intelligent. Now, for years I thought, the author of Proverbs was giving this advice to married men. But it can apply to many situations. Just because you think something doesn't mean you have to say it. When you feel critical, the best thing to do is to keep quiet. Now, in the Reformed Church, we've had our struggles the last few years. It's actually been a devastating struggle. So we've lost almost half of our people. We had 18 churches in the Muskegon classis, which is the same thing as a district. Now we're down to 10, and probably 9 by the end of this year. So it's people have left, and they've left over the whole the whole gay issue, and there's lots of discussion on it 4 or 5 years ago. And I was pulled into those discussions. And you all know where I stand, where everybody's equal at the foot of the cross. And you don't discriminate for any reason, for anything. but that's a minority opinion. And they were talking about this. They were talking about how they're going to leave the RCA and all this stuff. And then they came to me and they said, "What do you think about this?" And I wanted so badly to grab them by the neck and shake them. I said, "How can you possibly claim to be a follower of Jesus and reject certain groups of people?" But they did. And when they asked me that question, "So what do you think about this?" I said, "This is an excellent opportunity for me to keep my mouth shut." And I didn't respond to it. I didn't answer them. See, if you feel critical or judgmental, it's a good idea to keep your mouth shut. And you can do that. And you won't explode. It's a wonderful thing. I think what Jesus is talking about, what the New Testament teaching on forgiveness is all about, is forgiving with boundaries. You know, there's some folks I won't talk to. I won't engage in conversation because of past interactions. They just want to rile me up or control me in some way. And so I'm polite, but I don't do a conversation. I don't wish them ill, but I won't talk to them either. See, you can forgive or you can seek revenge. Forgiveness means you're not trying to get even. But forgiveness is not the same as reconciliation. And that's where a lot of Christians don't see the difference in that. Reconciliation is restoring a relationship to previous status. Reconciliation would be if Meyer would say, "Okay, all you people who've been stealing from us, come back and steal again. It's okay." You know, that's reconciliation, is restoring the relationship. It's kind of an interesting thing. You know, I live on a corner lot. And about every 2 or 3 years, a drunken teenager drives across my lawn, cuts the corner. And that happened last summer at 2 in the morning. We heard a clunk. It's kind of an interesting thing. Diane's waking me up, you know, and I'm running around now. Where did I put that gun? And, you know, all that sort of things. And we hear this stream of profanity, slurred profanity, coming from our front yard. I thought, well, I'm just going to go check this. And, of course, Diane's saying, "Put some clothes on." But, you know, I did. I went out there and I got to check on it. And it was just some kids. But the humorous thing of it is that there's a green post for the snowplow sitting on my lawn. And this kid came on. He did kind of a swerve through the lawn, but then he clipped that post. And the evidence was the casing of his mirror was laying on my lawn. And so, you know, I'm kind of a car guy. And so I started going through the neighborhood looking for this car. And I found it. I can tell you exactly what kind of car it was. It's a Chevy Tahoe. And this kid, you know, I found out where he lived and everything. I thought, well, maybe I'll just return his mirror casing to him. But I decided not to. I just let it go. Now, that's probably not the best thing for that kid. Because he is obviously either drunk or stoned. And, you know, he should have been held accountable, but I didn't do it. But if I hold it against that kid, it'll be bad for both of us. It'd be bad for me, it'd make my spirit toxic, and it would make his spirit toxic. So I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt. You know, he messed up. When I was a teenager, I really messed up a lot. And, you know, now that I'm an old duffer, I still mess up all the time. So, you know, we have to cut ourselves some slack, and we have to cut other people some slack. Give ourselves the benefit of the doubt and give other people the benefit of the doubt. And that's why I decided to just let this go. And it's kind of fun because I got these grooves in my lawn now. I ride over with the lawnmower. It kind of wakes me up, you know. It's a good thing. So anyway, that's it. I got a buddy who's pastor in Texas, and conversing with him briefly a couple weeks ago, and he put this motto on his church. here for good, because that church had gone through a period of time with COVID that they thought they might have to close. And so they wanted to come up with a motto that would show the community they don't intend to close, and it has a double meaning, because they said, we are here to do good. And when he was telling me that, I thought of the folks getting ready for hand to hand, and that's a picture of what it looks like in our basement when they're packing stuff for hand to hand. That is the purpose of the church. That's the purpose of Christians. We're here for good. We're here to put good into the world, not do all the things that the rest of the world does. We're here to make it better. We're here to make our lives better, make everybody's life better. So what Jesus is teaching us here is to be generous with forgiveness and give the benefit of the doubt as much as you can. That doesn't mean you let yourself get walked on, but you do give the benefit of the doubt. We're here for good, so be decent and accepting to everyone. And that's what we're called to do. That's why Jesus came. That's why he allowed himself to be crucified for us. That's why he rose from the dead, is so that we could be set free from the slavery of lack of forgiveness, the slavery of vengeance, and we can move forward with our lives and put good into things. That's what we're called to do. Let's pray together. Lord, you have called us, you've blessed us, you've done so many good things for us, and now it's our turn. You've reminded us that we are here for good. So we're going to take a shot at it and help us to know what that good is and to do it. Amen.
Oh, come on. That's not a foul. Oh. Wings are ready.
Hey, let me ask you something real quick.
Yeah.
Go ahead and have a seat.
Okay.
Hey, asking for a friend.
Mm-hmm.
What would a person's general thought be about scheduling or doing something on a Sunday?
Well, I think, generally speaking, most people like their Sundays to themselves.
But asking for a friend.
Yeah.
What if there was something special about the Sunday, generally speaking?
Generally speaking, it'd have to be really special. I mean, like a showstopper.
Right. So what if someone was raised from the dead? I mean, would that be showstopper enough?
What's bigger than being dead and then not being dead?
Right.
Yeah.
What if said person was the Son of God?
Go on.
And the miraculous act is through him he could save you from
Save me from my what?
From your sins.
Oh.
Asking for a friend. Asking for a friend. Do you think a friend would like to go to something like that on a Sunday morning if invited?
Tell your friend that if he doesn't invite somebody to that, he's probably not really a friend.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Right?
Right. Hey, I'm the friend. It was me the whole time.
And the Oscar goes to Meryl Streep.
I love her.
As always, thanks again for joining us. We have 2 services on Sunday morning, and if you're in town, we'd invite you to come, once at 9 o'clock and once at 11 o'clock. And if you wish to support Layton Bethel, you can go to laytonbethel.org and follow the steps there on our website, or you can just look at this QR code, scan it in with your phone, and you can give through Secure Give, and all your gifts will go directly into our account. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.